Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Infitech. In this video, we're going to discuss about an interesting problem over LeetCode, and the problem is find all duplicates in an array. So basically, first we'll try to understand the problem and analyze how to solve this problem, and then start writing code. So if you can clearly see in this problem, there is given an integer array, okay, of length n, where all integers of that particular array are in the range of 1 and n, where n is the length of the array. So that means any element in your array will lie in between 1 and the length of its array. So the maximum element in your array could be the length of your array. So there won't be any element greater than the length of your array. This is one condition you have to keep in mind, and this is a very important thing you have to keep looking while reading problems. And each integer appears once or twice. Return an array of all the integers that appear twice. So that means if an integer in your array is appearing twice, then you can consider it as a duplicate value and return as part of the output array. If in the example, if you can see 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 2, 3, 1, the repeating elements are 2 and 3. So that's why the output is going to be 2, 3. And in the second example, the input array is 1, 1, 2 and the repeating element is 1. So that's why 1 is being sent as the output. Now let us first try to understand this problem and then start writing code. So basically the most important challenge of this solution is that we need to solve this problem using linear time approach and only constant extra space. So basically if there is no linear time approach challenge to us, then we can simply take an hash map and record all the frequencies of your elements in the array and filter out all the duplicate keys from that hash map and print it as the output. But now the challenge is we need to solve this problem in a linear time approach. So to solve this problem in a linear time approach, it is a bit tricky, but it is very easy when you understand and you get the logic behind this. So now let us try to crack the logic, and once you understand, it will be very easy to write code. Now let us try to analyze this with an example. I hope you can see my screen. So now the given array is 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 2, 3, 1. Okay. The most important condition is any element in your array is in the range of 1 and the length of the array. Okay. So now we will see. Basically the logic is, if first step would be you will be traversing in this entire array. Okay. So on each traversal, if you find any element positive, then you will mark it as negative. Okay. And in your traversal, if you find any element negative, okay, that means it has been already visited. Okay. If it has been already visited, then the index element which is responsible, you can mark it as duplicate. Okay. Let us try to understand this by iterating over this list. So if you can see, the first element in the array is 4. Okay. Since the maximum element in our array could be length of the array, which is 8, the length of the array is 8, and the maximum index could be 7, 8 minus 1, 7. So if you can clearly observe, if you can subtract 1 in any element, then that is a valid index in your array. Okay. If you take 4 minus 1 is 3 is a valid index in this array. If you take 7 minus 1, which is 6, which is a valid index. And if you take 8, if you do 8 minus 1, which is 7, which is going to be a valid index. Okay. So in your first iteration, the first element is going to be 4 minus 1 is going to be 3. Okay. So now you are going to visit the element at index 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So you will mark 7 as negative. Okay. In your second iteration, it is going to be 3 minus 1, which is 2. Okay, now the absolute index is 2, 0, 1, 2, and you will mark 2 as minus 2. And in the third iteration, the value is minus 2. You need to convert this minus 2 into absolute value, which is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. And the element at index 1 is 0, 1, which is 3, and you will mark it as negative. And in your next iteration, the value is going to be minus 7, which is this one. Minus 7, you are going to convert it into absolute value, which is 7. 7 minus 1, it is going to be 6. So the element at index 6 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 3. You will make it as negative. Okay, and in your next iteration, which is 8, 8 minus 1 is 7. Okay, so the element at 7 is 1. You will mark it as negative. Fine. And in your next iteration, which is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, now this is interesting. If you go to the element at index 1, okay, 0, 1, which is minus 3. Okay, so since this is minus 3, you have come to a negative, you have visited a negative value. That means this has been visited twice in your array, right? In our previous iteration, we visited this 3 when you are traversing at 2. Okay, so since this is already negative, that means 2 is the duplicate value. Now in your output array, 2 will be sent. So 2 minus 1 is this index, 3 is already there. Here also 2 minus 1 is this index, which is already there. That's why these values are duplicate values. If any element is visited twice, even after marking it as negative, then that particular iteration element is considered as duplicate value. So similar in this way, you will be able to get the output as 2, 3. So this is the approach you have to choose to make all the positive elements negative, and if any negative values coming in your traversal, then that particular element in your current iteration is your duplicate value. So that's all about the explanation. Now let's start writing code. Okay, yeah, so now let's start writing code. I'm writing code in Golang, and you can choose any other language of your choice. Okay, now we have this function find duplicates. We have this nums array. Okay, let us mark it as array, and it is expecting an integer slice. The first task is going to be initialize an empty slice, which is we are going to say duplicates, and that is going to be an empty slice. Okay, my bad, it should be duplicates. Now what you have to do, you have to iterate over this array. To iterate, I'm choosing for I comma value in the range of array. Now first step is going to get the absolute index. Okay, your absolute index is going to be value minus 1. Okay, and at few places you might also, your value can also be negative. That's why you are going to convert it into absolute. Okay, now if array of this index is positive, then your task is to mark that element as negative of it. We have marked the visiting value to negative, and if your value at this absolute index is negative, that means you are visiting it for the second time for sure. Then what you have to do, you have to append your current iteration element to the output array. In our case, it is duplicates. So I am going to append the current value at our current iteration index, which is array of 5, and it can also be negative because we are marking negative, right? So it should be absolute of array of I, right? And finally, that's all. We have solved the problem. Finally, try to return this duplicates. output array, and let's click on run and see if we can able to pass the sample test cases. There is an issue, undefined ABS. Oh, sorry. So there is no absolute function in Golang for integers. It is available for float. Now let me write our own function, which is going to give us the absolute value if x is less than 0, then return minus x, or you can simply return x. So this function will give you the absolute value. Now let me run this and check for sample test cases. Yeah, as you can see, the sample test cases have been passed. Now let us check for all the hidden test cases. Yeah, alright, all the test cases have been passed. So our runtime is 48 milliseconds. So this is the approach where you can mark all the positive elements to negative, and if any value is coming as negative in your traversal, then your current element in your current iteration can be considered as duplicate with this approach. So with this approach you will be able to solve this problem, find all duplicates elements in an array using linear time approach. So that's all. Thank you for watching this video.